This video is sponsored by Bank of Texas.
You start each day committed to pursuing better for your employees, clients, and communities.
The team at Bank of Texas shares that spirit.
We come in every day ready to fuel growth in North Texas and financial success for our clients.
Our breadth of services and advice-driven approach allows us to compete nationally.
But our deep connection to this community,
Our community, keeps us focused on being good partners.
This guy's funny, isn't he? All right. Sounds like you can hear me just fine. Thank you for being here, Kim. I really appreciate it. I'm excited about this. I'll just start by saying I'm a big fan. You've been incredibly accessible, and you've always been available to trek, to listen, and we really, really appreciate that as an organization. So excited to do this chat. Before we get started, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Did you born here or got here as fast as you could, as I did?
So first of all, thank you so very much, Rick. I just want y'all to know the pressure is on because I see these council members down here. So I'm going to try to be on my best behavior. Council Member Ridley and Mayor Pro Tem Atkins. I see Council Member Moreno back there, Council Member Gracie. So I'm going to do my very, very best not to say bad words, too. But I will tell you that I feel like Dallas sought me out. I came to Dallas nearly 42 years ago with this big smile on my face. And the way I described it is that I'm from East Texas, Tyler, and I was a rosebud. And when I came to Dallas is when I actually was able to bloom. And so it has been it's been a journey for me to have a city that not only welcomed me, but truly gave me my very first opportunity straight out of graduate school. I was an intern, and I worked for the mayor at that time, was Steve Bartlett. And it was it was fast, but it just put me on this track, and I knew where I wanted to go. I knew that I wanted to serve a city that really cared about its people. And I wanted to have not just a career, but I wanted to fulfill my calling. And that's what this city has allowed me to do. So for me, it's not about a job. It's definitely not a career. It's really a calling. And so I'm here. I keep smiling every day. Even when days are rough, I just keep on smiling because I know that all of this has happened for a reason. So I'm here and truly excited about what the future holds for this great city.
That's awesome. Well, it's clear you enjoy your job. And
I do.
That's a big, big part of it. Right when you were coming on, there were a few amendments that got a little bit of a publicity here in Dallas, and ultimately ST&U passed. And
what was the name of it again? No.
You may be slightly familiar with that. So TREC came out against those amendments, and we certainly did our part. But with that said, the underlying issue of public safety is something we are very sensitive to and aware of, and often, this public safety is more of a perception issue than a reality issue, but perception matters, particularly when people are making decisions on where to live and companies relocating and stuff. So I guess the question is, you've revamped the public safety leadership team. So with that in mind, what is your plan to reduce real crime and kind of rebuild the public confidence in Dallas that we're a safe city to live, work, and play in?
Thank you. And thank you so much for making public safety like one of the very first topics. I will tell you that public safety is the #1 priority. And I can't tell you one council member, not a staff person, who does not know that. So we are truly embracing around that as a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. And we have, I think we have continued to show that prior to even the conversations around the amendments, it was really about how we would ensure that our investment and how we're continuing to show up and elevate public safety that it would be real in how we even developed our budget. And I'm going to give you just a little bit of nugget of what I mean by that. So last year, we were planning and we were going through the process. We were looking at this shortfall that we were facing last summer going into the budget development process. One of the things that we clearly understood was that we could not shortchange the investment that we were going to make in public safety. We had about $65 million in new dollars that we were actually going to be able to realize from the prior year. And the need for the police department was an additional $78 million. So $65 million in new revenue, but $78 million in needs. So we took 100% of all of the new revenue that we received year over year, and we gave all of that. Plus, we supplemented that with other efficiencies and other changes that we had to make in the organization to ensure that we were able to make that $70 million additional investment. So it's really about now, with leadership that we have in place, we have to stay focused on some primary goals. We know that hiring more officers is critical. We are working, we've put additional resources even this year and how we can continue to step and bring those numbers up. We know that that matters to you. We've heard from our residents and you've told us what you need, and so we're listening. But in addition to that, we also have to focus on how we retain officers. And I think as we look at what's happening not only within the region, but if you look at what's happening even around the country, recruiting and retaining law enforcement or public police officers in particular, it is becoming a challenge that not only Dallas that we're facing, but everybody's facing that same challenge. And so one of the ways that we're really looking to do is how do we ensure that we have eliminated any barriers to employment. I don't know if you heard, but last year, one of the first things that I got was our officer said, hey, we want to wear beards. And I thought, oh, Lord, why y'all didn't ask for that like 2 years ago? But it was something that was important for them. And then they asked for tattoos, and I was like, Lord, help me. So we had beards and we got tattoos. But it's about making sure that we're going to have to change the way we think about some of this to make sure that we're not creating those barriers for where people want to be here. In addition to that, we know pay is an issue. And this city council in the last, I would say 3.5 years, we've raised pay for our first responders by 44%. And that will continue because we understand that we're competing. We're competing in this region and we're competing with other municipalities and other agencies around the country. So we're not losing focus of that. In addition to that, we've got to continue to leverage and utilize data and technology. It is the way, and it's what we've got to make sure that we will never, in my opinion, have unlimited resources. But for those resources that we have, how do we tailor those to make sure that we're addressing even those quality of life issues? We have been successful in how we've approached violent crime. And whether you're talking about the 14% reduction that we see year to date today, or the 35% reduction that we've seen over the last 4 years, it has been primary and it's been a focus effort. But we also know that there are quality of life issues that people are really concerned about, whether it's response times, it's some of the petty crimes. So we can't just focus on one thing. We've got to look at it in the totality of this current space that we're in. So commitment, there's no wavering on the commitment. The focus, it is there. And what we've got to be able to demonstrate, and you talked about perception, is how do we show that the words and the actions are lining up, and that people not only see, but they feel it. And I think that's the challenge, but it's a challenge that I do believe will become a real opportunity for us to truly continue to build that trust within the community and be able to really show our residents that we hear you, we see the concerns, and we're addressing those, and we're doing it collectively. Public-private partnerships, I will tell you, have stepped up in these last few months. I'm excited about something that's going to be coming out here really soon that's going to talk about a way that we are leveraging all of the input that we're getting from all of our stakeholders. And in another week or so, you're going to hear about a new initiative that I think will be welcoming, and I think it'll truly share and shape the narrative around how we're embracing this together, and we're going to get to a better place, and we're going to do it, and we're going to be able to celebrate our successes. So we are one of the safest large cities in America, and that will continue. and it will be a focus effort that I know that this city council will continue to give us the support that we need to make that happen. So thank you for the question.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a saying that if you want to understand whether it's a city or an organization's priorities, don't look at their plan or what they say, look at the budget.
Yes.
And clearly, you guys have made that a priority based on the budget.
Absolutely.
So no doubt about it.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Another topic that's gotten a lot of press lately, or did a few weeks ago, was Neiman Marcus had announced they're leaving downtown. So I think there was...
I don't even know why they did that.
You might have heard about that?
Yeah, that was so rude.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good word for it. I think there was a perception that maybe this would be the mayor's opportunity to get involved in that process and step up. But what we really saw was you step in and show incredible leadership on that topic. And so first of all, thank you for your leadership. But just kind of talk about some of the roles beyond what we've seen traditionally as a city manager. And should we expect to see more of this? Kind of stepping out of the traditional roles, if you will.
Okay, so let me start by saying something about how just this natural affinity that I have for downtown, and I talked about this at another event. Downtown for me growing up was like the cornerstone and the highlight of the week, because if I did real good at school and I kept my mouth closed and I didn't get in trouble, my grandmother was going to take me downtown on Saturdays, right? So it became kind of what I would act right just so I could get that trip downtown. And then when we went downtown, we dressed up. I mean, it was a big deal. So you put on all your good stuff. I am a downtown resident. I have been for 8 years. I'm excited about what downtown continues to provide. And for me, Neiman Marcus is Dallas, right? And I kept thinking after I was reading all the stories and I'm sitting at home and saying bad words, to be honest with you, I thought, you know what? We ain't gonna just let them roll up out here like this, right? We gonna show that in Dallas, we come together and we solve problems, right? And we do it for the betterment of our city, and we do it because we understand that Dallas deserves the very, very best. And when I think about Neiman Marcus, I think about a brand that is the best, right? And it gives us that. So for me, it wasn't about waiting, Rick, to be honest, to be told what I needed to do. It was really about running to the problem and making sure that we show that our city is really serious about having great partnerships. So that was a team effort. That wasn't about Kim. That was a team effort with many stakeholders that are here in this room today who really understood that we needed to work together. We needed to truly come together in a way that showed that Dallas is a city that truly embraces collaboration, and that we wanted to give this message that there's nothing too hard for us and that we'll work together to solve it. So when you think about the role, I don't see it as the mayor versus the city manager, to be honest with you. Yeah. What I see it is that we have a partnership. And I feel very comfortable saying in this room that I have a strong partnership, not only with the mayor, but with the city council. And we support each other, we back each other up. And so it was really about, hey, here's what I'm gonna do unless you say stop. And there's never, Kim, don't do it. When I think about Councilmember Ridley's phone calls, it was like, get it done. So that's the type of support that I know that I have with the mayor and the city council. And so I'm not waiting for the phone call, right? It's really about making sure that when we know that there are issues and things we need to resolve, that I'm out there and I'm doing it in a way that I know it's being supported. And so what I think you'll see is that I'm underpaid. And yeah, I'm underpaid, but you're going to get all your money out of me, and we're going to continue to find ways, even when there are situations like that. And that just is one that, for an example. But we're going to continue to roll up our sleeves, and we're going to continue to be at the table. I typically don't call and give assignments to my bosses, but sometimes I do call and say, this is what I need from you. And I never get anything other than, let's go. And so I think that that's what you're going to see. You're going to see a stronger partnership. You're going to see, us working. Oh, hey, Councilmember West. You're going to see us working together And it will be, it's about the victory that we have collectively. And it should never be about me. It should be about we. And I think that's the spirit that I've approached that. And so I'm looking forward to, before the end of the year, you guys hearing about all the exciting things that will happen with Neiman Marcus. I need all y'all to continue to shop over there and make this real, because we're going to be making some commitments, and we're going to need all of y'all's your help. And so just know that we're going to keep we've got our sleeves, we're at the table, we're working, and it's going to be truly beneficial for the city. I think what you will see from Neiman Marcus in the months ahead. So thank you for that question.
Absolutely. Well, let's stay on downtown for a second. I think there are many people in this room that don't live in the city of Dallas. We have a lot of North Texas people, but I think there's a recognition that for North Texas to be successful, Dallas, the city, needs to be successful. And I'd say the next step of that, for Dallas to be successful, we really need the core in downtown to be successful, so it ripples out to the entire North Texas region. So let's talk about 10 years from now, looking back, what would you view success of downtown? What would you say, you know, that was what I was hoping for, and I'm glad this happened?
That's good, that's good. So, you know, you talked about the core, and I think those are the words that we have to continue to frame this messaging around when it comes to downtown. It's not about downtown versus, you know, any other parts of the city. I think the urban core, if it's strong, then all of the parts of our city will be as strong. And we have to continue to ensure that the decisions that we make, that we're focused on how do we continue to strengthen that urban core. And so I think that what I would say, we've got 14,000 residents who have already made that commitment that downtown is home for them, right? And so what I believe in 10 years, or what I would like to see, is that we're working at how that number gets doubled. And how do we continue to make downtown this place where it becomes an intersection for where people come and work, they want to stay downtown, they want to live downtown, they want to play downtown. It creates cultural connectivity, I think, and really becomes this lighthouse for what really makes our city shine. And I think that there's so much that's underway, whether you're talking about phase 2 of Clyde Warren Park, whether you're looking at ways that we're going to ensure that all the connective pieces from Deep Ellum to the Cedars, that all of those connection points are there. And now it's a place that is thriving. It's a place that there's vibrancy all the way around us. I know that there's a lot of work around how do we repurpose, even when you think about the over 5 million square feet of unused office space right now. We've got to be able to show how we create those activations, and how do we do it in a way that it will attract other investment. And we're doing all the work now to make sure that those investors and those great corporate partners who have already shown us a commitment in downtown, that they stay. And not only do they stay, but they come with that additional investment that we know will be needed to continue to keep this core strong. So I think that there's already a luster when you think about downtown's luster. And what I would say in the next 10 years, we want to shine and keep shining and keep smoothing out any of those edges that we have to address and make this be the place that people want to go. It's a neighborhood. And that's how I feel about it, because I've made that decision to be here and be downtown, that we want that neighborhood to feel like all of the other neighborhoods that we take pride in around the city. And so I believe that that's kind of the direction that we're already headed. It will continue to require those focused efforts. We can't take our eyes off of it, and we have to be intentional about how we continue to leverage all of the private investment and make sure that we're putting our money where our mouth is. And I think in the next 10 years, that will show how we're able to continue the great benefits that we know that this urban core has contributed to this entire city.
Awesome. We'll stay in the general area, and let's talk about the convention center for a second. In 2022, Dallas voters approved Proposition A, which basically gave a 2% increase in the hotel tax to fund the construction of a new convention center, plus improvements to Fair Park. So This is a big opportunity
Yes.
to kind of get it right, not just for the convention center, but for that area of downtown and be catalytic for the whole redevelopment. So, just kind of give us an update on what's happening, but also I think the people in this room would like just some insight on the process of how that plan is coming together and what the success metrics are and who's sitting at the table and such.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. That was a lot. So let me see if I can remember all of that. The one thing that I can tell you is that this is a project that will have a lot of legacy pieces for all of us if we get it done right. And so what we have focused on is that we know that there have been thousands and thousands of people. There's been many, many hours of conceptual and vision and all these things that have been happening over these last few years, is that we now know it's time to move. And so when I think about Kim, I think about we're going to keep things moving, and we're going to do it in a way that truly shows that the vision and the reality, those things are going to connect, and they're going to connect well. And so what we have been doing, we have continued to ensure that we've looked at all things, whether it's all of the community input that we've received. We've had over 350 just stakeholder meetings, where we've had, whether it's elected officials and it's our residents and it's our business stakeholders, just at the table talking about what they want and what they believe that the city should deliver. And so at some point you got to put it all together, and you got to come out with, okay, well, this is how we're planning to move forward. One of the things that I am a champion for, and that's just good governance. And good governance starts with transparency, accountability, and honesty. And so we have focused our whole process on making sure that we are bringing all the different interests to the table, and not everybody thinks the same way, as you can imagine. But how do we take all of the input and all of the different perspectives and all of the different ideas and truly deliver what we know is going to help us say that we gave it our all, and it's something that we're all going to be very proud of. And so we know that this convention center is going to be, it's going to revitalize downtown. There's no question about it, and I'm excited about the fact that the team has taken, and they bring the team that we have dedicated to working on the convention center, that their energy, their insight, and their commitment it's there and it's strong. And so even as I speak right now, we got a dedicated team working to finalize a briefing for next Wednesday. So here's my public service announcement. Next Wednesday on May 21st, as part of the City Council briefing agenda, we will be giving a public update on the entire project. We're going to talk about everything from all of the input. We're going to talk about all of the different concepts and ideas and things that we have reviewed. We're going to talk about feasibility. We're going to talk about the schedule. We're going to talk about the budget, and we're going to talk about next steps. And so I think that what you'll see is that all of the work that has taken place, you'll see it coming together, and it'll give us an opportunity to, of course, continue to answer questions. Again, this is an open process. There's no secrets. There are no hidden agendas. Everybody wants to get it right, and I'm thankful that TREC and many other organizations are a part of this process in helping us think about all the ways that we have to make sure that we're delivering what we know is something that we want that we all want to be very proud of. And so with that presentation, as we lay out the next steps, we'll be talking about all of the other components. We've got our wonderful Dallas Wings. We're so excited about what the future holds for them. We got an arena. We've got the piece that involves the Black Academy of Arts and Letters. So we're going to be showing you how all those pieces are going to come together. So we will continue as we move forward to make sure that that transparency is there. We're going to continue with accountability. We're going to continue with honesty. We are going to deliver a project that is going to meet the expectations that we set out to meet. It's going to achieve the vision. We're going to do it within the budget that we have discussed previously, and we're going to do it on time. And that's what you should expect, and that's how we want you to hold us accountable. So I look forward to giving more detail. I don't want to go into the depths of the presentation because the council hasn't heard it yet, but next Wednesday, public service announcement, hopefully you guys will join in and listen as we roll out kind of all the work that's been going on these last few months and where we are today.
You heard it here first. All right.
There you go.
Let's switch gears to a fun topic, 7800 North
Oh my
Stevens,
God.
Our permitting building. So I think you recently mentioned that's going to get sold. So I won't sit here and figure out, what went wrong or blame game or any of
Thank
that.
you.
Let's just talk about what guardrails are going
Sure.
to be put in place to, assuming that was a mistake, that might not happen again.
Sure. And so there's this quote that I've held very close and dear for a very long time, and it was by Nelson Mandela. And it was something on the lines of, I never lose. I either win or I learn. And that's something that I take to heart. I think that we, without talking about all the problems, because I'll get depressed up here on the stage, we understand that we own that situation. And we have, not only have we owned it, we've said that it is not something that we have the in-house expertise to even get right. And so we've said that. And we will always be that up front. We will always be that way, as far as while I'm there. So one of the things that I think we were able to do proactively, I didn't wait for an audit report to say, oh, here are all the things wrong, because sometimes those audit reports talk about all the things that are wrong, they lay out observations, they give you recommendations, but we already knew what the problems were. So for me, it was about, you know what, let's just say what we're gonna do, and so that's how we got to the whole guardrail conversation. It's really about, we have to stop, take a breather here, and really address some of the priorities that we have. And right now, we've got some facilities or assets that we know we've been holding on to for a minute. They have become problematic in the way that we're talking about what we do with them. So we thought, okay, you know what? We shouldn't be out there acquiring anything right now, because we know that we've got some gaps in our processes, and we don't have that in-house expertise to really tell us if we're doing it right. And so the guardrails were really about owning the problem. Let's stop going out and finding anything new that we acquire right now. And how do we begin to look at some of the priority assets or facilities that we need to get down the road and do that in a systematic way? Because we know that what we've got to do in this whole process is we got to rebuild trust. Nobody wants to read, and I know I don't, and I know the council members don't. We don't want to read a headline that says what the city of Dallas did wrong. That doesn't make any of us feel good. And so the guardrails are designed to, number one, kind of put the brakes on acquiring anything new. Look at what we do with some of those priority assets right now that we know that we've got to monetize, repurpose, find our way forward. But what we also talked about is the need to have a comprehensive real estate master plan that does not exist right now. And so that's a huge problem and a huge gap for a city of our size, not to have something like that we already have as a roadmap. And so we're gonna finish up the specifications and the scope and specifications for an RFP that we should have done by the end of this summer, where we're gonna be asking for someone to step up, propose, and come in to help us develop this master plan, real estate master plan. I think that's gonna be key, because it should allow for us to look at what are the internal pieces that we need to have. How do we look at some of our short-term needs, our long-term needs? How do we scale up? We're a growing city, and we've got to make sure that from a real estate perspective that we are being mindful of that in such a way that it's not these knee-jerk reactions. We need criteria. And so I'm hoping, and I truly believe, that as we move into that process, that we'll be able to come back now with something that is strategic. It allows for us to have a better way to make decisions, make recommendations to City Council, and ensure that we own it in such a way that that never happens again. And so I want to thank TREC and many other organizations. You guys have been very patient. And I remember coming and talking to you guys about a year ago, and I said, we're going to find ways to not only be better, but we're going to show you with our actions that we can be. And so 7,800 is one of those examples where we know we cannot repeat that, and that there's no trust building when that happens. And so I know that our team and many others that are working around that whole real estate portfolio now, that we understand that assignment, and we're not running away from it. We're not going to make excuses. We're going to own it, and we're going to work to get it right. And so that's where we are. So can we not talk about 7,800 anymore?
We're done.
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
That's fair. Okay. Well, I truly applaud and appreciate the honesty and the transparency and acknowledging that.
Yes.
So it is a natural tie-in to talk about permitting.
Yes.
We're not going to
Yes.
let members in this organization that have had
Yes.
frustrations at City of Dallas permit talk right now. But you've acknowledged the issue. That's step one. You know that our own Will Bundinger, one of our
Yes.
legendary members here of TREC, stepped in to help. So progress has been made for sure, and I do want to acknowledge that. But just kind of walk us through that process, what that looks like, knowing that it is an issue, what still needs to be improved,
Sure.
and then I'll just tee it up for the Dallas Now, which I think you've announced. That's the new system for that.
That's good. That's good. And thank you so much for mentioning Will. I always get nice text messages from Will. And I remember even when we were going through, I'll say this word 7,800, he texted me and said, hang in there. And so wherever you are, Will, thank you so much for continuing to be a champion for Dallas. So let me just say this. So last year, I remember sitting down and talking with you all about give us a chance. And it was really about understanding, listening, and then going back and finding all the things that we needed to go and address. And so as we laid out and we presented a 100-day plan to the city council, this was one of the key areas, because I knew that we had already lost too much time. There were too many issues, there was too much frustration, and we didn't really have a lot more time to get this thing done right. And so one of the first things that I remember talking to you guys about, I was like, you know what, in the next week, you will start to see changes. That was what I said. And that very next week, we rolled out and we changed leadership, just like that. And it was important because we understood that even within the department, we had to address many internal issues. And sometimes you have to just make those hard decisions. And so we started with, let's get the right people, let's bring the right mindset, right? Because we're not going to continue to make excuses. We're going to bring a mindset of doers, and we're going to rebrand ourselves, and we're going to start with how do we strengthen customer experience within that department. And so that's what we did, and I want to thank our team. I want to thank Robin Bentley, and just the way we took just the leadership changes, and we just started going, and we just started picking it off one at a time. And I will tell you that if nothing else, I think that sent a very strong message that we were not going to continue with this status quo permitting process and these issues. We were going to make real change, and it was going to be the kind of change that would truly demonstrate, and we would have results that we could actually show action. So my 100-day plan talked about it. In addition to that, one of the things that we talked about was we've got to get away from the manual processes. You know, nobody wants to come and stand in line and deal with resubmittals, and then you go, and then the very people that you need to talk to, they're not there today. I mean, I heard all the issues, right? And I'm sure that there's more that we will continue to work our way through. But one of the things that we said was, let's create our own sense of urgency. Because if we're not getting permits out the door, we are really stifling economic development. And I need all the new money that I can get, right? So we understood that if this department is not working and it's not high performing, it is really going to hinder our ability to continue to grow the city. And so that was the approach that we took. And so I got to tell you what some of the results are, and I jotted these down because I don't want to miss any of those.
Well, everybody in here just loves the acknowledgement of that,
Yes.
that very point, so thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let me tell you what we had sitting in our system. We had 11,000 inactive permits that were just sitting in the system. Unacceptable, but we've cleared them. We streamlined the Q team because we understood how expediting reviews was something that was critical, especially with a lot of the priority projects. Let me tell you something else we did. We launched virtual plumbing inspections. Y'all can clap.
This is good.
Y'all can clap. Commercial permitting times dropped by 34%. Residential permit times dropped by nearly 69%. And what I can tell you is that that's not just because of Kim. That is because we said we gotta rebuild trust. We gotta get the right people. We gotta break down the silos within the department. And we gotta truly show that we can do this as a team. I remember the first numbers that I got that showed that things were getting better and that we were clearing permits. The entire executive leadership team, we showed up out at Jefferson, and we surprised the whole team with just pizza. And what they said was, well, nobody ever came to see us before.
Nice.
For management.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was about clearly demonstrating that not only do we support you all, but we're gonna celebrate when you get it right. And if there is something that's in your way, then you need to raise your hand and you need to tell us. And so let me give you an example of what I mean by that. I remember sitting in the room with some of those wonderful staff members, and I said, tell me something that I can do that'll make your lives easier. Just tell me what it is. Tell me what's going on out here. And let me tell you what I heard. I heard, well, can we come in earlier on Fridays? And I'm like, huh? They just wanted to start earlier. And I thought, well, yeah. And then it was something like, can we, if we come in earlier, is there an opportunity then to flex to maybe where we, some of us have children and we pick them up from school. If we come in early and we get our work done, well, can we flex it to where maybe we leave earlier? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, just simple things like that we just needed to get out of the way and truly allow for our staff to tell us, here are the things that we want you to help us do better, and then give them the tools and the resources that they need to do it. And so what I can tell you is that I'm excited. I think that we will continue to listen to the team. We will continue to find ways. For me, it's about blocking and tackling for them, and they're doing the work. And they're doing it with the right attitude. We will continue to work through the challenges. You mentioned Dallas Now, we'll talk about that in just a minute. But it's really about making sure that we are taking business principles and we're putting those in place, and we're operating like that. That is a business enterprise from my perspective, and we have to continue to get it right. And so there's no doubt that as we continue to grow, we are leading the nation right now in economic growth, that there will be things that we'll have to continue to work through, Rick, but the good thing is that the team understands it, and we're not running away from it, and we're continuing to solve it. I'm so excited about Dallas Now. How many of y'all have already had an opportunity to use the new system? Anybody in the room?
No, a few, yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Evan, of course.
Good. And so we are ahead of schedule. The integration that we're seeing with the zoning and the permitting, the platting, the inspections, the engineering, all of this is going to be so great for us. And I think it's over 4,500 new accounts, Robin, that have already come through the new system since we officially turned it on May the 5th. And so if there's any challenges, just know we're going to work through those. We're making ourselves available. Our team is working overtime to make sure that any issues that we need to continue to work through with Dallas Now, that we're doing it. I told Robin that if there were any complaints in the room today, that she was going to stay behind and work with all of you guys on complaints, but we are
She
truly—
actually means that.
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, she's going to stay. But we are truly getting it done, and I'm excited about it. We're catching up. It's an exciting time for us to continue those investments, and I want to thank the council members for their support. But having that Dallas Now system truly be just real, I think is going to help us to continue to do a better job. And we have no problems in coming back and sharing those updates as we move forward. You should expect that from us. You should have us to come back and talk about the results and the accomplishments, so we can continue to fine-tune tweak where there might be some adjustments that we need to continue to make, but I'm excited about what the future holds. So permitting is ongoing and will continue to be what we focus on so we can get more money in the door.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Do we need to wrap up? I know I need to be respectful of your
Oh,
time
sure.
for another commitment. So, and we're not going to be able to do Q&A, I understand. So yes, thank you very, very much
Absolutely.
for being
Well,
here.
thank y'all for having me. Good, thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.